Good morning, everyone. Hope we're all doing well. Let's go ahead and read through some comments from yesterday. Big Zig Production says, "Great show, gentlemen. Thank you so much." And then Kelly says, "Love you, Big Zig." Mrs. CLA says, "I love when you get together. Sending love, light, and blessings. Thank you." And then Terry Gentle says, "FYI, they have spent at least 7 years telling us how corrupt the government is. If they have another election, no one will vote. Many know the U.S. of America is a corrupt corporation. This game stops when we stop playing." I agree. And then HIQ says, "Voting for a corporation overlay position is BS. Yep, I'm not voting until the restored republic is publicly announced." And Terry says, "Agreed." Tabby Gabby says, "If the government is going to use blockchain voting or paper ballots with no machines, it will be safe to vote." And then Granddad Matthew says, "They don't have to do anything." Copper 33 says, "I'm starting to wonder if they ever tell the people it was all a movie. They might just let it go. The people that know will know, and the people that don't know will never know. They will just let it be forgotten. Of course, we won't forget, but who will we tell that it was all a movie? They might just ones that didn't know will have forgotten all about it." Wow, that wasn't easy to explain. I get what you're saying, though. I do. Yeah. I mean, it's complicated, but yet it's simple. And yeah, it's both. It's both at the same time. And then Forgotten Cookies, it will be up to those that know to tell the whole truth about what was done and by who. Now they will believe us. I think they will release enough information that will give us the validation, the credence that we need to have for other people to believe us. And then TA says, "That hasn't worked very well up until now." Yeah, I know. It's frustrating. Gabby Steele says, "I tried telling people early on it is a movie, scripted by the military, etc. And to someone whose head is deep in their sand, it is completely incomprehensible. The looks I would get. I don't even try anymore. It is just a step too far for the normies. Hell, we'll be lucky if they ever wake up to any of this." I agree. And then Sith says, "Well, at some point soon, E.T. is going to knock on someone's front door asking to call home." You know, there's more truth to that than you think. And sorry, I confused you all. I was confusing myself. To make a long story short, they might never tell us it was a movie. You're right, they might not. And then Forgotten Cookies says, "Somehow, some way, sometime, the truth will come out. Books will be written by those who lived through it." I agree. There will be a number of books that are going to explain step by step what happened. And some of the normies will sit down and read it and start to comprehend. And then there will be movies made about it. And for those who don't like to read, they will watch these movies. And then they will go, "Oh, so that's how they did it." And then Streck put some links in there. Smoky High says, "A server in Israel. Hey, if that doesn't wake people up, nothing will." So, if in fact that is the case, then maybe that's the reason that hasn't ever been talked about. We'll find out. And then Charles says, "Wait till you figure out how many reptilians live in your neighborhood. That would be scary. That would be scary, Charles. Gabby Steele says, I have one that lives next door. I am glad our properties aren't close together. Ugh. And then Vianney says, what is the problem with going over an hour? That's Strack talk. Yeah, I have no problem going over an hour. None. Because after Strack and John, then I have, there's an hour in between before I have Peter on. And then Tasty says, Strack, great opening monologue. You didn't yet have too much coffee. And Texas Charmer says, John, you can't get Martin to believe you. I tried to tell him Caitlin Clark was born a man, and he won't believe it. The reason I don't believe it is because I've played against good, really good female basketball players. And I know their strength. And so it's for someone who's played against them and who's played at a fairly high level against men. Keep in mind, I played college basketball. So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. And I coached a city league women's basketball team that was comprised of all stars. And I played against them. I know how they are. And you learn, you just learn a lot by playing against them. And so when you look at Caitlin Clark and you see how she falls, she doesn't have the strength of a man. She doesn't even have the look of a man. There's nothing there. It's all bullshit. Yeah, she's a woman, period. And in fact, here's the defining moment. If she were a guy, trans, the women in the WNBA would love her. They wouldn't be trying to hurt her. The only reason they're trying to hurt her is because she's a real woman. And she makes a shitload of money. Anyway, and then Fed Up with Crap goes, so what makes you think that your opinion is more correct than Martin's? Do you have any proof? No, you don't. You just have an opinion. Yeah, that's your opinion. And that's fine. You can have that opinion. Okay? But what do you base your opinion on? Have you ever played against good female basketball players? Have you ever done that? I don't think you have. Because if you had, you wouldn't be talking like this. Kenner59 says, good show, guys, as always. Martin, you said the alliance will blame fake Biden on the black hats. How does that work? I mean, they can't go on TV and say, hey, we are the alliance, Biden was fake. I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't. And then Forgotten says, and who rigged that election? And who installed an unelected actor and was responsible for every action for those 4 years? You're right. There's a whole lot of questions here to be answered. Absolutely. And then DW the Poet says, I get the feeling that Agenda 2030 would have been our end. I think so. The next reset, perhaps. They can't reveal this has been a movie until people are awake or in the process of. Have a list of 125 in the WPP, and I wonder if any of these people will come back and show themselves. Lots of patience needed for this movie. I agree. Patience indeed. And then Steve 01 put some links in there. And then Fatso says, a lot of podcasters block you and you don't agree with them and have your own opinion. Sound familiar? And it's the same thing they complain the Democrats were doing to we the people. Now these podcasters do it to we the people. Show at POS a lot of these so-called patriot mega people are. Yeah, the only time that I will mute someone is if they're being really nasty. That's it. You know, as long as you can disagree with me, that's fine. But just do it in a polite way. Or if you're going to disagree with somebody else in the comment section, just do it politely. And then MWP, you always blow my mind. Awesome guys. Mustang Debbie, well, thank you. Billy says, another great Saturday podcast. Thanks, guys. South Huron, Ontario, Canada, thanks for being here. Barb Try, salute to you all. Great job you all do for us. Thank you. And then Trevor says, JFK Jr. is an imposter. His real name is George Onassis, like his magazine. TA says, is there any evidence? Evidence that isn't a secret like so much other evidence. And Jane 25 says, it was named after George Washington, the first U.S. president. Jack J says, Diamond Wood, please put the correct YouTube channel in. Goat Mama says, great show, men. Love and hugs. DW the Poet says, the wives to past presidents are fugly. They are. As these people age, their facial features will change too. Lack of adrenochrome will cause changes. I don't believe that everybody in Hollywood are trans. I don't either. But I do believe a majority are. A good example of trans are the Victoria's Secret models, indeed. Clavicles are not a definite, though, because changing positions can change the appearance of the clavicle. Shoulders and skulls are better identifiers. Adam's apples are not specifically a great indicator either. Women have them, but they are not as pronounced as men. Plus, the Adam's apple gets shaved on the trans. I have also seen pics of skulls getting shaved and surgery done to add material. John is right as far as how rich and famous people climb to fame as being those who sold their souls. They did. Yes. Yeah, that is very true. They sold their souls. It's crazy what people are willing to do. And then Gail 10 says, and what if someone has copper-based blood, Strack? And Kay says, that wouldn't be someone, it would be something. DW the Poet says, Trump's daughter was wearing a copper-colored dress. And there is a meme by Donaldo Trumpo with him and Sweeney. She is wearing a gold dress. Interesting stuff. Plucky the Duck says, hey, Martin, always you guys hit it out of the park. Appreciate y'all. Well, thank you. And then P. Smith says, I always look forward to this show on Saturday. Thank you all. Interesting to hear all of your points of view. Appreciate it. And then Charles says, it all started with Gay Adjustment TV. So you have one in your house daily. Halinka, fantastic show with great real warriors. Thank you. Stephen Rozowski, I thought this disclosure was what was supposed to be in is about honesty and truth to tell people that the Biden administration was a construct of the black cats and cabal. Yes, I guess it's easier to wrap it up that way with a nice bow on top, keeping the people that don't know what went on in their ignorance. And we all know ignorance is bliss, but it ain't right. How can you start this honesty and true thing with a big lie? Just a thought. I agree with you, Martin, about trans people on TV. Yes, back in the day when we were young watching those Westerns or even Western movies. John Wayne, Clint Eastwood come to mind. No, you weren't sneaking in any trans garbage there. And you're right. It just seems in my mind it was a little while ago that this shit started. I love it when you're honest and you tell us your feelings, Martin. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And then they go on to say, here's a case in point. Maduro was scooped up months ago. Remember hearing he was on a jet coming back to the U.S. because they had just arrested him. Then there was no follow-up, nothing after that for a couple of months. up until now, several weeks ago. Something doesn't make sense, but that's what happens when they stop talking about it. People forget. Then they start talking about him again and showing him on a live mic. People think it's new news, but that's the actor playing Maduro, because this is how the narrative is written. We're so tired of being lied and bullshitted to. I don't know what's going on in any of these countries. People protesting Molotov cocktails. What's real and what isn't? I have no idea anymore. Supposedly the whole world is in chaos. It's really to know what's real and what isn't anymore. Maybe the people are celebrating, don't know anybody who lives in Venezuela, Syria, Iran, etc. And then TA says the real Iranians, Persians, won't be celebrated until the Muslim invaders are out of Iran. John 88 says, this is awesome, guys. Thanks, Strack. Good video for all to see. I wish I had this on CD. DW the Poet says, Strack talks about how the date should be written. That's great. I remember seeing a memory I had on Facebook that was shown in 2020. The post says, do not post just 20 as your date. Why? Because the date can be changed by someone else. So, something meant to be posted as 2020 could be changed to 2018, 2019, 2015, etc. Just an interesting post I found and wonder how the future will be as far as dates go. And then they say the world is full of unsockets. And then they do a link. John 88 says, yes, the satanic have been doing since the start. I agree, John. You guys are all correct. TA says, I read a scientific book a long time ago in which the regular people had risen up against the elites because the latter had developed tech that had severely damaged the planet. So the people were strongly against all but the simplest technology, combustion engine, minus all the electronics, for instance. At the time, I thought that was unrealistic, but later I started to see how it could happen. Strack's description of what the elite's tech does was a good illustration. HIQ says, haha, John, did you see the vagina? That is why Trump had to grab him by the pussy comment. Trans BS. Rothschild's Israel is good done. Reveal continues, hoping Strack would provide his input regarding Gnostic info, the core teachings of Yeshua. Silver dress was awesome. Fraud, Obama, Gate, Pedo Gate, Clinton Foundation, LFG. TA says, barring something unforeseen, Iran is about to change regime. A movement has been afoot for some time to put Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi in power and temporarily until an election can be held, and that movement is now very strong. That is from a personal friend of mine who is very friendly with the Pahlavi family here in the U.S. Does it seem likely that the real Iranians, Persians, could get to this point against the entrenched Muslim invaders with not a sign of unrest? And then Yachtmeister, Clint Eastwood must be a man. Yeah, I think he is. And then, just talk to some of his kids, I guess, and his different wives. Anyway, the silver paper market is being destroyed as we speak. The New York paper market is pricing silver at about 75 per ounce. Shanghai 110 and Tokyo 130. This is a big problem for holders of silver in the paper market. In your own professional, hold in your hand is the only way to go with silver now. This could be the end of the Federal Reserve and the crashing of our economy that will lead to the quantum financial system. Look that up in your Funk and Wagnalls. I love you guys, and Brenda too. Yeah, she's going to be on later today. And then, let's see, OL Patriot, almost there, $88. Vianney, what is the problem with going? Charles says, Sarge told me they saw pig, pussy, and boys and make girls. Bold Moore, watch all share Belver. Mine aren't that good yet. Mine isn't. And then his channel is about FTM, elite gender inversion, exposed for what really is a global system of mind control. Brenda Ruff says, great show, thank you all, thank you. Josiah, Ruthie, or Rusty must have just maybe started as a girl. Really, come on. Who? It swung very manly. In Cuba. Just me to you, feisty today. That's a good thing. Good job, guys. Elise May Olis, great show. Thank you for helping us understand. I'm ready for this movie to end. And where we go on, we go all. Zulikia says Melania also shortened the silver dress. The original was much longer. Santa Surfing on YouTube on Beach Broadcast does a section on that on her recent video on Friday, I believe. And John Idiot says, I've been sending lots of people to communityreview.org. Well, thank you for that. And Steve says, thank you. And, or John, actually. And then HIQ says, 5-5, love, truth, and light. My born date totals 8, ready for 88, Back to the Future. Kate Devereaux says, I don't see how they can blame Biden on the cabal. Why would the cabal install someone that would act mentally incompetent to the point of his downfall? They wouldn't want to fail or send voters to vote for Trump, so blaming Biden on the cabal doesn't make sense. And then where's the truth? Somewhere around 28 minutes in, they're talking about Hollywood gender benders, and just my 2 cents, I saw the Pam Anderson and Miley Cyrus sex videos that went viral years ago, and they were both females, very much. Many of them are benders, including many controlling them. And then, hi John, or Diptamo. Hi John, I just watched your podcast 121. However, there was nothing about transgender comparisons in number 121. Was the latest podcast listed on your website? Nothing from 25/12/31 there yet. And then where's the truth? The more correct word are air travel map, world's longest nonstop flights from a north-centered world projection map view. Sith Lord says, wait a minute. I had to replay the beginnings, and I'm in total shock for the first time, I say, a year and a half or more. There was no John Maddox with community reviews. Within the first 30 seconds of the video, is John feeling well? Or was it just the deep state shadow banning him? No. And then Kelly Song says, Icons 2020. Excellent show. Thank you. And then Alana, I'm ready to listen. You're all making sense. Thank you. And Mrs. CLA says, Martin, I think you are right on the transgender issue. Thank you. Gerber wins. What is the world again? What is the word again? Goodness. Or what is with the word? Charles. Yosa, hi. Hey, I'm not setting everything in stone. Ginsburg. So, not who or what you were showed. By the way, how many of you folks hold secured as truths were in stone given as truths were showed? I'm having a hard time reading this one. Get a helmet and buckle down to get super slapped Bug and Awake. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's too hard for me to read. And then what does it all mean? Mean, Alfie, point, Josiah, just now, be super new, beginning, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a proud founder and member of the gay mafia. Dig on that. Take extra. It's a deep, twisty, turning rabbit hole. And then Strack is so interesting. And then, not trying to be negative, just your speech would improve tremendously. Anyway, everybody has their own way, everybody. So that is all for the comments I'm going to do. I want to thank you all. God bless you all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.